Hi there, this is Valentine and welcome to another Postman tutorial. Today I wanted to show you how to solve a common issue that many people using Postman have been struggling with, and that is creating files from Postman and saving the response or anything else to a file. Unfortunately, as you can see here, Postman will not allow you to write any files from a script, which is essentially a security precaution that Postman has built in. If you're a bit flexible on this and are anyway using Newman to automate your collection run, there is a way around this. Please note that this is an advanced tutorial and requires you to have Node.js installed as well as some basic JavaScript skills to be able to follow along. Now that we have established that writing files from Postman is not possible, let's take this script, remove it from Postman because it will not work anyway. And I have here a code editor, it's called Visual Studio Code. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call it write to file.js. And I'm going to paste here the script that we had in Postman. So practically what we're doing here is we have the Node.js file system, and the Node.js file system allows us to write a file. It's gonna be called response.txt. Here, because we don't have anything from Postman coming yet, we just have to write something like some text. And this is practically everything that's happening here. We're gonna have here a callback function which takes an error, but that's about it. Now, in order to run this on your computer, you need to have Node.js installed. So this JavaScript will not run from itself. You will already have Node.js installed if you also have Newman installed. So I'm going to open up a new terminal window, and this will show up here on the lower part of the screen. And all I have to do is write node and then the name of the file that I want to execute. So write to file.js in my case. So I have absolutely no output, but if you look inside here, you will see that a response.txt file has been generated and it will contain some text. Now you're probably thinking, okay, great, now we know how to write files, but how we can get everything to run together? Like how can we execute the Postman collection and at the same time start writing the responses to the file system? The next step in this process would be looking at the Newman documentation, and especially what's interesting for us is using Newman as a library. And here we'll see information about how to use Newman as a library. So let's copy this code and put it inside our script. I'm going to leave the part with writing a file here on the lower part, and I'm simply going to paste what I've taken from the Newman documentation page. So practically what's happening here, we are using Newman as a library because we are requiring here Newman. And after that, we're practically running the collection. I already have the collection saved here. It's collection.json. So I'm going to adapt the path that is being described here. I'm going to use only the CLI reporter. And practically what will happen is that Newman will start running this in the background. So it is more or less the same as saying Newman run collection. But this time, we're not calling Newman directly, we're doing this through the code and we're using Newman as a library inside JavaScript and we're executing with Node.js. So the command that I'm running here is the same as before. And probably one of the errors that you will get instantly is that you cannot find module Newman. And that's totally fine because in our project, we don't have a package.json that describes dependencies. And even if Newman is a global dependency, it will not be automatically added. So there are at least two ways on how you can deal with this problem. The cleanest way would be to define a package.json because that will work both on your computer and if you're automating with Newman on a continuous integration, continuous deployment server, then that server will be able to resolve the same dependency. The quick fix for me locally is simply run something like, let me clear this for you. I will run npm link Newman. So this is a quick fix, and what will happen is we will take the global installation of Newman, and if I'm looking here inside the files, I click here on refresh, you will see here that we have this node module. So practically the dependency has been added to the project, but this will work only locally. So let's run the same command again. And you will see this time if I'm making this a bit larger for you, it's practically the same output as you would get if you use Newman run and the collection. So this is the CLI reporter telling you how many requests have been sent and so on. But this time it's only been executed from the script. Still, looking at this code, it is not clear where you can get information about the response. Because as you notice, inside the collection, we cannot write a script that writes these files. And still, in this case, we have executed a collection, but we still don't have anything. Now, in order to do that, we still have to advance our understanding of how we can use Newman as a library. So let's jump back here to the documentation. And what we are interested in at this point is something that is called events. Now, when we are running Newman, there are some events that are being emitted. So if you're looking here at the table of contents, you will see under API reference, events emitted during a collection run. And here's a bit an example that is being added, but essentially there are different kinds of events that we can subscribe to. So practically we're telling something like, hey, when this particular event is happening, please let me know. Call me when this happens. And the event that we're interested in is request. So you can see here there's a lot of events that are being triggered, but the request event, even if it sounds weird, is the event that will be triggered after the response of the request is received. Because in order to get access to the response, we need to first send a request. So there are many things that are happening before that, and there are many things that are happening after that. So getting this request would be like the right thing to do. So what we need to do is practically add ourselves with on to this request. So let me show you how that looks inside here. Now practically want to change a bit the way this functions here, and I'm gonna remove this part. So practically we are starting here this function Newman run. It starts here, it ends here, and it accepts this object with parameters. And after that we say something like on, and as you remember we said on request. So this is the event that's being emitted. And what we're getting back are two objects. So this will be a function, so there will be one error object. And there will also be one object containing data. So this will be our function. And just to get an idea of what's happening here, you could use something like console.log and just output data. That would be a possibility. Of course, we should do some basic error handling. So if, for example, we have an error, it would be a good idea to log it to the console so that we know about that error, just in case. Otherwise, we can also log the data. So I'm opening up again the terminal window here. So the same request has been executed, and this is like the entire data that is coming back. So one possibility, of course, would be to browse through this entire data and to find exactly what you're looking for. This is one way, and it definitely works. Just makes your life a bit harder, and I just want to show you another way, a more effective way of handling this. So what I'm going to do here in Visual Studio Code, I'm going to go to the line where I know I have this data object available. So I'm going to click here so that this red breakpoint, it's called a breakpoint. So this is something that we're going to use. I'm going to tell when we're running the script, hey, stop at this point. I want to take a look inside, see what's available there. And from this menu here, I can select here, this is the debugger. So I'm going to click here on debug and run. And I'm going to use Node.js as the environment for this run. So practically what will happen is that this script will be executed as before, but now I have access to the data that I have here. So everything that is inside data will be available here in this panel. This execution of the script is practically stopping. There's nothing else happening at this point. This panel here on the left side, even though it is very small, it allows me to easily browse to this object. So I can see here, this is the variable data, and I can look inside the data for what is available. Now, we said previously we are interested in the response. So if you want to get the response body, it makes sense to look at the response object that we see here. And again, you will see different kind of properties like the code, cookies, headers, and so on. But also what we're interested in, and this is not so obvious, this is the response stream. So it's not something that you could easily see here. But this is something that we can later transform into a regular string. Now the idea is to get the path to this object. And because this is a nested object, it's a bit harder to get to it to understand exactly what's happening there. So what you can do is to right click on it and you can copy it as an expression. This will make your life a bit easier. So I'm gonna simply paste it here. And this will be data.response.stream. And in order to actually get some string back, we'll have to use the toString function, and this will transform everything into a string. Additionally, we can also look for other information. So for example, wouldn't it be nice to also know the request name? And if we're looking here inside request, or let's see inside item, we have here the request name. So we'll see here name get data. So we can copy that path as well as an expression. And let's write here another console log statement. We could say something like request name, column, space, and we could simply put that in there. So this is a general approach that you can take in order to extract different kind of data that is available inside this kind of object. So as you saw, the data object is really complex, contains a lot of data, but using the debugger allows you to quickly navigate through it. So I'm going to stop the debugger right now because I'm not interested in anything else at this point. So what I can do here is simply save the script. I'm going to remove the breakpoint. And here in the terminal, I will execute the same script once again. So let's see a bit what happened here. Now you'll be able to see here a few things. So what we have is, it says here request name, get data. So this is what we had. The second statement is this coming from the console. So it's showing this response. Of course, this is now the second request in my collection, which is sending some data, and also the response. So it seems that we now have access to the information, which means that we can actually start writing this information to a file, which is actually what we were trying to do initially. So now all we have to do is to clean up our script a bit. So I'm actually going to move here to the top, because in JavaScript we typically define all our requirements right here on the top so that we can easily see them. And practically we can still go ahead and write this file. Let's just adapt a bit our script. So if there is no error, practically there's an error, we log it. So practically we can even here return. So we stop the execution of this. But otherwise, we can just simply copy paste this right file here. So what we're doing here, let's say we are trying to write this information here. So we have the file name. Maybe we want to make it a bit nicer. So I'm gonna define here a constant called file name. So maybe our file name should be including the request name. That would be like an option. So let's write here something like response. We can replace everything with variables to make it nice. So this is how we get the variable to run in this kind of a string. You notice here at the beginning and at the end there is a backtick, not a normal quote. So response, this will be the file name, and we can write something like txt. So this is the file name here. I'm gonna replace this variable right here. And also the text itself, let's say variable is content. Just to make everything a bit clearer, it's not really necessary, but it helps you, especially if you want to debug information or something doesn't work so well. Just makes our life overall easier if we do it like this. So this will be the content itself. So let's see if now things work as we expected them to work. So we don't see any errors. We also don't have any other debug statements. So we can now see that we have two files that have been added to our project. One of them is response get data, because this was the name of the request. If we open it up, we'll see here that this was the response that we got, and also the response from send data.txt. So that's another response that came back from the collection. So this practically allows us to save these files here. Now there are still a few things that we can do to make our file name look a bit nicer. So first of all, let's try to remove any spaces and to make everything lowercase in the request name itself. So let's call this request name. And practically what we are going to do here, we know that this will be a string here, and we can use replace. And practically what replace does is to replace any characters that we don't want, let's say, with a dash. So practically we're going to define here a rule for replacement, and we're going to replace everything with a dash. So this will be a regular expression. So practically what we're saying here is that everything that is not a number or a string or a regular character, to put it like that, will be removed. So not a character from A to Z and not a number from 0 to 9. This will be a global search for these characters. I'm going to simply replace them with a dash. So anything in a name that will contain something like this, not a name, not a number, space, for example, will be automatically replaced. This ensures that our files can actually get saved, just in case you have any quotes or any characters that are not allowed. It will probably remove a bit more than is necessary, but feel free to adapt as you need. Additionally, let's add some randomness to these names, or additionally, we can also write something like a timestamp. So just gonna give you an example here of something random. So this will be a random string. I'm gonna use math.random, and practically we're gonna change the type of information that we're getting. So we're gonna make it base 36 and just gonna get a substring of it. So let's say we're only getting 7 characters from what's being generated here. This will be a bit of randomness that we are adding. So let's do the following. So this will be the random string. This will be at the end. Just need to get the syntax right. And again, this will be the response dash, and we'll have here the request name as a variable, and then dash a random string. So let's just delete a few things from here so I can easily see what's going on. So I'm running the script again just to see what's happening. And you'll be able to see here that we have response, get data, this is a random thing, response send data, again some random thing. This randomness that we're adding allows us to run the same request multiple times and not overwrite any files, because otherwise if you try to write the same file, you will practically rewrite the same file without getting anything new, so it will not create a new file essentially. So with something random here, you can add a timestamp or whatever you think works in your case. This allows you to save these files in case you're running the collection a few times and you need to save all the responses. Now the process of, for example, writing the request itself can be very similar to this one. So for example, let's say where we have access to the request. So of course we should be able to have access to the request in the request event as well. And just in case you want to log it just before that, in case any errors or anything happens, we can also use this before request. So we can look here at adding this additional event. So this will be another on here, on before request. Practically the structure is absolutely the same. So we will still have the error object and we'll also have the data object. Now, of course, the data object will be different because the data that we have available here in the before request is different from the data that we have in the request. But no worries, we're going to take a look at that in just a second. Let's do some error handling. So I can just copy the block that is checking for the error. It's just making sure that the error is getting logged, and after that it stops the execution of the script. And additionally, what we're going to do here is just use the console to log the data. And I'm going to use the exact same trick in order to be able to see this information. So I'm going to click here on the debugger, make a breakpoint at that line, click here on debug and run. and I'm gonna use here Node.js. So if I'm looking here at the data, I'll be able to see the request. And as you can see, because this is a GET request, it does not have a body. So if you're trying to log the body of a GET request, that will fail miserably. Because I also have a POST request, I will show you how that looks like. So you will see here that now I'm in the second request. This is a POST request, and now in this case I have a body. So of course what I can do is I'm gonna go here to body.raw. It is a bit different from the request. It's already a string, so we can simply copy it as an expression if you want to look at it. So I'm just going to put it here. So it is data.request.body.raw. So we don't need to do any additional processing. I'm going to stop here this. So practically, in order to log the body, we're going to do the following. So we're going to first have to check if this property exists. So I'm going to say something like if data.request.body, and only then we are going to go here inside the if block. Otherwise, if you try to get .body.raw, it will fail and it will just not work in that case. So again, what we can do here is copy this, write to file script. I'm going to put it inside here. So we're going to still keep the request name. I'm going to still keep the random string. I'm going to still keep the file name. I'm just going to write here, instead of response, I'm going to write request. And of course, what we are interested in is this information from the request. So the content this time, instead of the response, it will be directly from the request itself. Otherwise, everything should look pretty much the same. So if we're looking again at the results, we will see here that we only have one request, and it contains the request body for the POST request. For the GET request, we haven't logged anything, and this if block here has helped us figure out if we really have something to log or not. Of course, this entire script can be made much nicer. You can put this right into the file and generating this random information in their own functions and reuse them. I just wanted to give you like the general idea, general overview, how you can write either the request or the response body to files, and exactly how you do it, I leave it up to you, but this is the main idea. You're using the node, you're using Newman as a library, you're using these events, and especially if you understood the idea of using the debugger, you can practically get any information that is available inside these data objects and to put them inside your files or whatever, in which way you want to organize everything, it's totally up to you. I hope this was useful and that you managed to follow along. You can find the code and the Postman collection in the video description. Give this video a thumbs up if it solved your problem, and consider subscribing to my channel for more tutorials like this. See you next time, bye bye.